Owning rental properties can be a great way to replace your income, but honestly, it comes with some crazy challenges. Let's look into how many properties it actually takes to replace that income. There's so many people out there that claim that owning rental property is passive income, but honestly, it really isn't. It takes a lot of time and it also takes a lot of effort to find these rental properties that can make you really good money. Now, I don't want you to think that owning rental properties isn't worth it. Like everything else, the more that you have, the more ups and downs that you're gonna face. There's more to consider than dealing with tenants and collecting rent. Remember that when starting any business, this can take a couple years before you develop the necessary systems in order to actually start making that business profitable. Before we get any deeper into that, let's look into the real estate market to make sure that this is a good time for you to jump into it. According to Zillow's rental report for May, rents increased 3.4% compared to the same time last year. So why are rents increasing? This is because across the US, people are being forced to rent instead of being able to buy. The feds have been trying to slow down the rate of inflation, but honestly, it hasn't really worked quite yet. That's because the shortage in the housing market is real across the nation. We have to start realizing that because there is a shortage, the prices of homes have gone up dramatically, forcing people to not be able to buy and going into renting instead. The pressure on the real estate market has also affected landlords. This means that they're trying to buy properties, but honestly, those prices are also going up. They have to compensate for that, and they have to raise those rental prices to meet that line of profitability. A lot of large investment firms have jumped into the real estate market as well. This has greatly impacted the prices across the nation. Companies owned by Wall Street like Progress Residential and Invitation Homes have over 80,000 homes in their portfolio. Taking this many homes off the market is definitely driving up demand and prices. Now that being said, there are still so many homes available on the market. Let's look into these houses to see if you can actually start renting these out. Buying a home is not cheap. For most investment properties, a bank is going to require at least 20% down. With home average pricing going around $200,000 to $500,000, the down payment alone will be enough of a hurdle for people to get out of this. Even if you do have enough money for the down payment, there are still additional closing costs that you have to deal with. However, there are some creative financing options that you can consider. The only thing I would make you aware of is that if you don't have enough money for the down payment, I'd be a little bit concerned with some of the repairs and potential issues that can come up. To cover for some of the unexpected expenses, I strongly recommend that you have an emergency fund. Whether you're buying for your own house or you're looking for an investment property, you're gonna need this. If you're willing to accept the cost of buying a rental property, here's how you're gonna get started. The first thing that you have to consider is the 1% rule. Honestly, with the change of interest rates lately, that 1% rule has gone up a little bit for me. So I'm truly considering 1.25% to 1.5%. The 1% rule is that you have to have at least 1% of the monthly rent be 1% of the purchase price. So as an example, if you buy a $100,000 house, you want to expect at least $1,000 a month in rental income. Knowing your expenses and being able to track those expenses is going to be a huge part of the responsibility of owning rental property. Honestly, most of your time is going to be focused on this aspect alone. So even though you have to track those expenses, the best part about tracking your expenses is that you're also going to be tracking your income. And when you track your income, you're going to notice that the more properties that you have under control, the more money that you're actually going to be making. There are several income benefits when dealing with rental properties. This includes mortgage paydown, write-offs, depreciation, and profits. Rentals have more than just one way for you to make money. You should consider a financial advisor to see how you can capture more than just one of these methods. When you get your first rental property, you're going to have to resolve some issues with that property. You're going to have to learn how to collect rent, track some of the issues, and you might want to hire some of these systems out. Unfortunately, the thing is that when you hire some of these systems out, that's going to directly come out of that property's profit. What I recommend is that you slowly start to figure out what you do and do not like about renting out properties. Some of that might be communication or collecting some of the rent. As you figure that out, you're going to want to hire out the systems that you're not used to doing or that you don't like to do. For most landlords, rental properties are going to be a side hustle that they don't manage directly. They're going to leave that to the property managers to manage for them. That does take away from some of the profits that they make, but honestly, it's still a great investment. This will still allow them to own the properties, and over time, they're going to be able to pay down that mortgage, and when they go to sell that property, that's when they're really going to see the majority of the profits. I think that owning rental properties is a fantastic way to grow your income. You can even replace your income through this method. The first thing that you have to do is consider starting young in order to grow your portfolio over time, because it is going to take some time in order for that to mature properly. Growth over time is going to be one of your strongest assets. Most people are going to take a 15 or 30-year mortgage, and the tenant is going to be the one that pays that mortgage down over that length of time. Owning rental properties does have its challenges, but I can tell you from personal experience that it is definitely worth it. You're gonna make some mistakes at first, and those can vary between very costly and some easy ones. But honestly, let me give you some advice. Just start. Get started now and let that portfolio grow over time, and you can deal with those mistakes as they come. Another thing I'd recommend is that you find an investor that's already doing this in your area. Give them some of your time and offer them some support up front for no cost, and simply ask them to see if they would help you find that first property. Well, that's all I have here. So if you like this video, like and subscribe and leave a comment below.